Learning for me when I was younger was quite difficult. I struggled through secondary school due to being bullied a fair bit on the way to school, in school. So I withdrew from learning at about 13. I then eventually went on to do a pre-16 course in college. And then since then I haven't done anything until I joined the team and started learning with them. It was a confidence and new directions course that one of the outreach workers had put up on Facebook. Back at that point, my confidence was really low. I wanted something to do. It gave me something to do other than just being mum. And alongside that course on the same day, I'd actually done a Keeping Up with Children's English, learning how I could support them at home with their learning.
Every course that came along, she wanted to do it. She's got such a thirst for learning. She studied her English and Maths, functional skills qualifications. She has also gone on to study through distance learning. She's gone from a place of wanting to learn but not very much self-belief to now really seeing what she can achieve and developing this real great self-confidence.
Hannah's goal has been to be an outreach worker or work supporting people. Her confidence has just grown so much, and not just her own confidence but the confidence of her children as well.
It's given me the confidence to go on to do further studying with Wiltshire College. It's given me an idea of where I'd like to be as a job role, as a support worker, helping other people that have been in similar positions to myself.
I remember her sitting down and starting to write out this plan of all the steps that she was going to go through to achieve her goal. She's doing it, she's smashing it every step of the way. She has also volunteered herself as a governor for family and community learning, which means that she is now on our board of governors representing the learner's voice.
My children seem a lot happier. I'm able to support them with their learning. It's made a huge impact on us as a family. You never know when learning and that intention to go back is going to hit you. I've managed to achieve so much in such a short space of time, and that one session has given me that love of learning back, which I'd lost a long time ago.
Right, well, welcome back. It was great to hear Hannah's story there and hear a bit more from her, having heard from her earlier. So it was great to see that video, and you can see the videos of all of the Festival of Learning award winners on our website, so it's well worth having a look. Hope you enjoyed your breakout sessions. Now, I did mention earlier that when we were having the sort of voting on Slido, that we would start this session just by showing you the results of the vote. So can we bring those up, please, Learning and Work team? There we go. Excellent. Thank you. So if you remember, the question we were asking was about what can the government do to help make sure that basic skills learning supports the response to the pandemic and our recovery thereafter. And you can see, so 46% people saying digital inclusion is really vital for that. You remember I mentioned our survey showing how much online learning people have been doing during the first lockdown. And then votes second place about flexibility and innovation in delivery and trying to fit learning around people's work and home lives. So thank you everybody for voting on that. And it's very handy timing for the Minister joining us. So you've kind of seen what the poll results are. I think we counted those votes a bit more quickly than than the US election, although I think we had 150 million fewer votes, to be fair, and no Supreme Court challenges yet to the results here. So we're very, very pleased to have Gillian Keegan, MP, the Minister for Apprenticeships and Skills here. And we'll kind of go through some of these topics that have been coming up. People have been submitting lots of questions for you. You'll be pleased to know. And thank you to you for your support for Festival of Learning and Lifelong Learning Week as well. It's very much appreciated. And I'll pass over to you to give your sort of keynote address and give us your thoughts on the subjects we've been discussing, and then we look forward to picking up the conversation with you afterwards.
Oh, thank you very much, and thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much to the Learn and Work Institute, for all of you, for inviting me to speak about adult basic skills. I wish I could be there to meet you all in person. I haven't spent nearly enough time with this sector. I've done a couple of virtual visits, but I haven't done a real life visit yet. So I feel very much like I'm at the beginning of the journey, really, to get to know you all. So I look forward to continuing that. I know that all of us here today will share a common vision to improve adult basic skills, improve life chances, and particularly at this difficult time, it's never been more important. And we know the virus that's caused hardships. We've all had to adapt. We know that that's left some people more disadvantaged than they even were before, particularly if they hadn't got comfortable with some of the technology that we're all using now to do everything, you know, from shopping to talk to our friends, parents, everybody. So, it's this kind of sort of, and I know you all had to adapt yourselves to move people online and to really help to get people to feel comfortable with that, and you've done an excellent job. And it's this kind of innovation that we need to champion in this time in education, so that people can learn and develop, no matter what is happening around us with this virus and how it's disrupting and continually disrupting our lives. So obviously, as skills minister, I see it's my most important role to widen access to high quality learning and to give people a real shot of success in the jobs market. And you simply can't do this without some of the basic skills: literacy, numeracy, English, and it's becoming increasingly clear that digital skills are they're the fourth utility, and they're the absolute basic skill now. They're a foundation, the building blocks that are essential to progression into pretty much every workplace and on into further learning. So 80% of learners who achieve a level 2 English and maths qualification do progress into either employment or further learning. Yet you don't need reminding that we still face big challenges in these areas, because we know that a third of 16-year-olds leave school without English or maths GCSE, 49% of adults only have very basic numeracy skills, and 15% have very limited literacy, and over 750,000 people in the UK do not speak English, or speak English very little, and certainly not enough to engage fully in learning. And an estimated 17.1 million people, which is a huge 52% of working age adults, do not have the essential digital skills they need. So the stats are stark. You know that because you're dealing with it every day. I've seen, it was great to see Hannah's story, because it really does show what a difference it makes when you overcome those basic barriers, those barriers that are there, which are there for many reasons. And often to do with your association with the school system, or the fact you may have come to this country at some point and not had full access to that education system at all. I recently visited Redbridge Institute, and I saw a girl who actually I now keep in touch with on Instagram, Louisa, and she was working really hard to gain those qualifications, but also the very important point that came out, which is gaining in confidence and building that love of learning. Building your confidence that you can do it is really important, and is actually the satisfaction that I think most of you probably get from the jobs that you do. And it was brilliant to see her and others at that college going on from basically starting not thinking they could offer anything to the workplace, so then realizing they had a wealth of opportunities in front of them. And it's just brilliant to see that, and we're determined to help everybody get that opportunity, because this government will always champion those that want to build a better life for themselves. Myself, social mobility is one of the reasons I came into Parliament having that journey myself from a nosy comprehensive school via a long an apprenticeship and then a long route to be sat here right now. I get it. I get why a lot of people don't engage with education as well. Certainly that was a factor of my schooling in Knowsley. And many of my schoolmates left school without GCSEs, without any GCSEs whatsoever. In fact, less than 10% of kids actually left with 5 or more. So it was, and it still is a rather difficult area. So I get that, you know, they all have the capability, they just didn't get the opportunity, or it didn't work for them at the time. So we know that everyone who's unemployed or is earning under £17,000 is eligible to study ESOL for free if it's English as a second language you need. And we know that, you know, obviously all adults are able at any point to study English and maths up to level 2. So that is something that's there basic. But the question is how we go about making these meaningful changes for people, and what do we need to build on, as well as digital? What else do we need to build on their basic skills so they can get a better life for themselves, and what things are really going to work? How can we find more ways to make adults take up this opportunity, overcome their fear of failure, overcome their fear of institutions? And, you know, obviously in government and in devolved areas, this means making sure they know they can study for free, where they can go, how they can access the resources. We can do a lot more online now, possibly for many more people. That's something that we've learned over the last couple of months. And it'll vary obviously from area to area, skill set to skill set. And that's why the adult education budget is devolved. And I was interested on your Slido there that you know, it leads me to my next point, which is where I think we need to work, which is with businesses to make sure they know how they can support in this area employees. And we need to get the system working well. It didn't seem to be high up on the priorities there, but for me it is a priority, because one of the things that I think has been a revelation actually here in the DFE is how we need to work much more closely with business to make sure that people are getting the skills that businesses value, because that's ultimately why they're doing this, to get a line of sight to a job, to build a better life for them and for their kids. And, you know, that's got to be something that is the focus. And businesses moving really rapidly, you know, so many changes that are happening, and they have been happening actually for about the past 20 years as we've had technical revolution after technical revolution. And, you know, we do need to work hard to keep up, and we need to help these people to be able to get in to the workplace, and they need those skills. COVID doesn't dilute this need for learning. In fact, it strengthens it, as you said, Stephen. It makes it even more important, and we need to continue making learning available remotely, and we need to make sure that the digital disadvantage is overcome in some ways, and in ways that make sense. You know, that obviously some people could say, well, let's get everybody a laptop and stuff like that. Well, that's going to be difficult. So we need to kind of do that in more inventive ways and better ways. Obviously, the findings from the Learning and Work Institute has just published from the Adult Participation Learning Survey illustrate some of the areas that we need to work on to make this truly accessible. And we need to keep learning from you, because you're the practitioners, you're the experts, you see what's in front of you, and you can work out real time how we can best deliver this remote learning. And, you know, with discussions I've had with the sector, I know that you did a brilliant job actually of moving most people online. And the barriers were not, you know, they were big, but they were not insurmountable in many ways as well. So we need to ensure also that businesses know how to support these employees, give them the opportunities, and, you know, try and just make that match much clearer. And I think, you know, certainly for this sector, having those relationships so that, you know, no matter what people are studying, we know that they've got a clear line of sight for a job, which actually is the biggest motivator for anybody to study. That's one of the things that we found, and that certainly would gel with my own experience. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have had a very varied career, and it's changed since I started in 1984 as a 16-year-old apprentice. The world has changed many times in that period, but you always have to keep ahead of the technological wave, otherwise you become redundant in a business. And that is the key reason why those links need to be quite close. So we've also introduced a new legal entitlement, as I'm sure you all know, for digital entitlement. It's very new. It's for those with no or low digital skills. I'm really interested to see how that goes and how successful that is. Obviously, it's free qualifications up to level 1. And then obviously we've got the skills toolkit, which I think is a very nice addition after that, once you have those basic skills, to be able to learn in your own environment at your own pace, and take free courses that are online. And that's obviously something that will help as well. And, you know, obviously we need to make sure that people feel comfortable dealing with this technology. We've got further education reforms you'll all be aware of. There's an upcoming white paper. It's about really keeping that very close connectivity with jobs and our economy, making sure. For too long we've had people who have been learning and been accessing education, but not necessarily been being able to access great jobs or even decent jobs as a result of it. And we have to square that circle, because that's really what most people are motivated by, and that's what we can't let them down in that endeavour. And it's difficult, that endeavour, because it changes all the time. But we've got more funding. We know we've got 2.5 billion over the course of this Parliament with the National Skills Fund. There's obviously there's the skills toolkit. We've obviously got some basic entitlements. And of course, I think you'll all be excited as well that we're also looking at very many different ways that we're going to try and deliver, such as boot camps, digital boot camps. And then if they're successful, we'll roll them out to other sectors as well, potentially construction, engineering, those areas where we have massive skills shortages. I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that for the first 6 weeks, certainly in my job here, every conversation I had was about skills shortages in pretty much every sector, everything from nursing to policing to prison officers to digital to technology to construction to engineering, anything to do with science, anything to do with data and digital, lab technicians. I mean, we've probably got even bigger shortage now with what's happened since, but there are massive skill shortages. So these people, if we give them the right skills, can access these jobs and then can be in the workplace learning. But I want to congratulate you all on all of your work. I know it's not been easy. FE providers and other colleges and other providers in this sector have never been as important and vital as they are now. There's going to be a lot of people who will have to access learning. We haven't dealt with high levels of unemployment for many years. That will be new, and nobody was expecting it. Nobody thought that they were going to lose their job, because nobody expected the pandemic. But you've done brilliantly to respond during the crisis, and I know you'll be a key pivotal part of the recovery as well. And it's your dedication and commitment to helping those adults, giving them the confidence, giving the love of learning, instilling that in them, and enabling them to be the best that they can be, and just to uncover really how talented they are. So thank you very much for all your efforts, your success, and helping people along that journey. And I wish you continuing success, and I look forward to working with you to make sure that we are there to support people at this difficult time.
Great, thank you very much. And it's a bit weird doing these things by video, because you can't see who else is here, but there's more than 300 people working in this sector somewhere in the ether, listening to this. So I know they'll appreciate those words. And I know you're sort of pushed for time, so I'm going to try and get a couple of questions in if I can, that have come out during the day. So one of the examples we were hearing about Ireland, where the new government there has committed to developing an adult literacy strategy, and it's got, I think it was 9 or 10 government departments trying to come together and also co-design it with employers who you mentioned, and people working in the sector, and lots of others. So you kind of mentioned some of the initiatives that are going on at the moment, and I think there's lots of welcome stuff there, and the lifetime skills guarantee of entitlements to learning at level 3 and things like that are all great. But you kind of went through some of the stats about how many people lack that literacy or numeracy or English language skills, and participation in that learning has fallen over the past 5 or 6 years. So how do we sort of, is that sort of building of a strategy that includes those building blocks and those rungs of the ladder to get you up towards level 3 entitlements and things like that, is that kind of on your mind? Are you keen to work with the sector to think about what all of that looks like?
Yeah, very much so. And we do remain committed to the manifesto commitment, which we basically said was to boost English language teaching, to make sure that we had better results in this area. I mean, obviously, like everything, it's been sort of overtaken a bit by COVID. And to be honest, you know, even the whole digital focus has really sort of, you know, we weren't thinking of digital boot camps and all these kind of things. So we have had to kind of prioritize and shift the priority a bit, but you know, we will, that is a commitment, it's in the manifesto, you know, so we will deliver that, and we will return to that in due course. If I'm going to be completely honest, Stephen, I'd probably say that it's probably going to be slightly a bit delayed, just because of the changes that we're having to react to very, very quickly. But, you know, it's something I'm passionate about. It is something that I see. It's a very, I mean, we talk about basic digital entitlement, but it's been even before that. It's the key pillar, really, particularly English as another language as well. If you need access to be able to speak English, you know, you can't get very far without the basics there. But, you know, it's advocated in all of government, so the Department for Work and Pensions, Ministry for Housing, communities and local government, and the Home Office. We all have a strong interest in working together to make sure that we do overcome this long-standing barrier, really, for some of our immigrant communities, and also for so they can speak good English, but also for those that really lack basic literacy, to be able to access all the other things that we offer, because they're really the first gateway in many ways.
And I know you kindly did a double act with Mims Davis, the Employment Minister, at our Employment and Skills Convention earlier in the summer. So I know you're keen to work closely with DWP on all of these issues. Now I could ask you about sort of 50 questions or something, but I'm not going to do that. You're very, very pleased to know I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to instead, I asked Karen and Hannah earlier, our two of our Festival of Learning winners, what they would like to ask you.
Okay, that's brilliant. I'd love to hear from them.
Well, you're going to hear from them via me, I'm afraid. So I'm going to channel their questions. So they were, both of them actually, asked about, they said childcare had been really important for them in terms of being able to take part in learning. And I think Hannah's childcare had actually been on site with the learning provider. So it kind of you mentioned basic skills courses being free. But of course, there's all those other costs or challenges around learning. So I just wonder if you could say a little bit about your thoughts on how we help people with those other issues to make learning as easy as possible and tackle those costs as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously it is difficult, and you know, clearly there are now, you know, there's more entitlement to to childcare and childcare arrangements. There's more flexibilities in terms of bursaries and you know, that enablement to be part of support for a learner. But I guess, you know, there's always the question of, well, is that enough, and how many people could that help, etc. I think personally that one of the other things that's really going to help with this, because it's not even just all through the childcare, it's just balancing that, juggling that with the family as well, which is incredibly difficult. And I do hope that there's sort of some of the lessons we've had, but also the learnings in terms of modular, online, flexible, bite-size, smaller courses, being able to do it bits at a time, being able to do it sometimes, you know, within the physical setting, but also with guided tutoring or guided support as well, and online. I think that's possibly going to be a way that we can really reach more people and allow them to flex it to their own sort of difficulties that they're trying to overcome, whatever that is. And usually we all have barriers in our life, whether it's kids or somebody that we're caring for, or other or a job that we're doing as well, so other things that we all have to fit in. But I think the National Skills Fund is a really great opportunity for us to get that right, and it's people like Hannah that we should have in mind when we're trying to work out, you know, what would be the best way to try and build your confidence, but then get access to that learning in a way that is flexible for you.
Yeah, I think an online learning's been really great for me as well, because you can kind of just pick it up and drop into it. I guess one of the flip sides is it's quite easy to just ignore the app and sort of drop out of it. So that kind of peer support, I think, and how we get blended learning just feels like it's really critical as well.
Definitely, I think it can't just, I mean, obviously being able to do some things to yourself in the, you know, between you and the PC sometimes is welcome, but as a motivator, and also you learn so much from other people. Yeah. And as it's building confidence, you also build confidence through meeting other people, and through other people, you know, identifying and telling you, you know, where you're going, where you're doing well, and helping you overcome any barriers. So it is a vital part as well. So it's the blended approach that I think makes the flexibility there, you know, and also the ability to have bite-sized chunks, which may be also helpful.
And just to squeeze in one more question, if I may, before I know you have to go. And I promise you, Hannah did ask this. The rest of the attendees will back me up. It's not just me channeling difficult. They asked more difficult questions than I was going to be honest. So Hannah was saying that her course was funded by European Social Fund. And I know that the government's committed to a shared prosperity fund when that runs out. Now we've left the EU. But we kind of haven't heard so much about it, and it funds loads of really important literacy and numeracy provision for people. And yeah, I know the spending review now is going to be a 1-year spending review, but it's just, I guess you mentioned the National Skills Fund, which is great, but I just wonder if you could give a little bit, without giving the game away on the spending review, because I know you can't do that, but just, I mean, that bigger picture of funding as well.
Well, I mean, I can't give you know, this will be the funding and this will be the date. But I think we certainly definitely recognise, and we will be continuing with the European Social Fund, you know, for a period of time, but we definitely recognise that it delivers value, and we need to really understand a lot more about that. And I think actually some of the devolved areas are helping us to really understand some of the key parts of that. As you say, the UK Shared Prosperity Fund is there to you know, to replace that, and that will be shaped, and I would imagine it will also be shaped by, you know, what our current, you know, what our needs are, which have changed to some extent, but also how we best provide support to those learners, because it's you know, we're going to have hopefully a lot more information about, you know, what works and what works well, so we can really tailor something to probably a lot of our devolved areas as well. But you know, that's where the learnings will come, and it will be there. There will be something that will be replacing it. I'm amazed at Hannah. Obviously, somebody has given her a lot more information than I've ever had, which is how my course is funded, through which fund and which budget line. I don't know whether she works in the sector or she's going to in future, but that's more information than I've ever understood about my course. But yeah, I think you know, there's going to be a replacement. It will be there. Obviously, we're continuing for a number of years with the European Social Fund, and we will have to shape it together. And as you say, we've also got this National Skills Fund that we're shaping as well. I think the opportunity is really, it's a really good time to have pots of money appearing after we've had a massive learning with online, which, to be honest, has given the whole sector the confidence that they can do it. And I've said to many people, I think this is true, if I'd have said, you know, in the first 6 weeks in the job, what we're going to do is everybody who's involved in teaching and providing training for others in this sector is going to go online immediately, and you're going to do all your things online. They'd have all said, no, I can't do that. It'd have taken 3 years probably to bring about that change. The fact that we were forced to, and actually I think we probably all surprised ourselves actually how we've managed to overcome the challenges that come along with that, which is why I'm very proud of the sector, because they have done that. And it's because they're so focused on their learner, they knew they had to. But it does give us opportunities as well to really have you know, a very good, flexible, blended learning. And those three things together, I think, as long as we work together, we'll get the right answer. And Hannah will be talking about all the opportunities she's got for lifelong learning, and be able to, you know, continue her journey up the skills ladder, so that yeah, she can achieve what she wants to now.
And I think what was great about Hannah and all of our winners is actually having gone through learning and had that transformative impact. So many of them go on to inspire other people to learn and do further learning themselves. I think learning is really addictive. We just need to get more people in the first place. And so the fact that 22 million people took part in some form of lockdown learning, or learning during lockdown rather, is fantastic, and most of them doing it online. It shows the innate appetite for learning, I think, doesn't it?
I definitely agree. And, you know, it shows that, you know, when you have a bit of time as well, because we all had a bit more time, if you can create that time, or you can do it in your own time, yeah, how much appetite there is for people to learn skills. And also people are, I mean, you know, I've always been very motivated when I was younger. You know, my dad used to say to me, an hour's always an hour, and you really just got to work out how much you get paid in that hour. And once you really realize the relationship between that and having some skills and getting those opportunities, it does, you know, it does kind of, if you've got a clear line of sight to jobs and what difference it can make, it's a big motivator as well. You know, if I put my time and effort into this, I know that I've got these jobs, and I know that they're looking for people. You know, that's something else that I think is very motivating, and a big part of what we need to work on to make sure people are aware of where those opportunities are, where we're crying out for skills and things that probably, you know, many people have always wanted to do, but they just never got the opportunity, and giving them the ability to get on that journey is a key part of what we do. And I know a lot of you help as well, particularly women, and particularly women who you know, either haven't been in the workplace or have been in the workplace and been out of it for a number of years, and, you know, think the whole world has changed around them. Well, they're right, but it's actually changed around everybody. So you're right, that confidence to put yourself forward and expose yourself to new things is the first step. And I think Hannah and all the winners will be vital in making sure that the 21 million who felt confident enough to do something in their own bedroom would feel, you know, confident enough to take that to the next stage as well. And that's what that's the Prime Minister's complete goal. He's made that commitment that we will be there throughout your life, actually. So, you know, obviously there's some restrictions in terms of doing various levels at various times, etc. But that is the future of work and the future of learning.
Well, that feels like a very positive, uplifting and optimistic note for us to close on. I know how busy you are, and it's a busy parliamentary day as well, I know, so we do appreciate your time. And I think what you have in the Learning and Work Institute and in all of the organisations and people taking part in this conference are friends who want to help to shape and to make a success of those ambitions that you talked about, that I think we all share. So we're really keen to work with you, and happy to share those winners' stories. And maybe if you're kind enough to do this conference again next year, we'll get the winners to actually ask the questions rather than channeling them through me.
I shall look forward to it. I shall definitely look forward to it. And I'll ask Hannah, how did you find out about the Europeans? Yeah. I only found out about it 9 months ago, or wherever it was I started this job. But yeah, thank you to everyone for what you're doing. Thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to definitely engaging with you all to make sure we work together to tackle this ongoing challenge.
Great, thank you very much, Gillian. Very much appreciated.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that's also the point at which we're going to be closing this year's conference. I hope you'll agree that was an uplifting note for us to finish on after the statistics of doom that I ran through at the start of the day. I think there's lots for us to build on. I think lots of debates, lots of great work going on across the whole of the sector. I do think there's still a challenge to translate that through into policy and strategy and funding, and more to do, but some opportunities to do that, I think, for England and for the UK as a whole. I'm really grateful to all of you for taking part, and for all of the speakers and people running sessions and things like that during the course of the day. And at the Learning and Work Institute, we're really pleased to, as I said at the start, to do this conference in partnership with UCU, the UCL Institute of Education, NATECLA and RAPAL as well. So we're keen to, I know all of those partners and us are keen to keep working together to make a success of the future, and to really build on, I think, the momentum that we've seen throughout the day that there is across this sector. So let's keep working together. Thank you for your input. Thank you for the debate and discussion during the day. And we hope to see you again next year.